Okay, let's take a look at adding a freighter. So, and by which I mean a 200,000 ton freighter. Taking a look at its basic stats, it's a sphere, 200,000 tons, and it has a light hull. So, in terms of hardware, actually, first of all, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add it into here. Like that, save that, and okay, here's our freighter. So, first of all, we need some basic drives. So we have an M drive and we have a J drive. Both are 2G. Taking the stats from the High Guard book. They're not armored. We want a power plant. This is tech level 11. So it's a TL8 power plant. And it's giving us how much power? 81,150. 50. And it has size reduction plus times 3. So this could be high technology. There we go. So that should be 56,850.5 tons, which is correct, and a cost of 60,86. So the book has a cost of 4,260. So there's something different there. We've got the right tonnage. So if we bring up our calculator, oh, I bet I know what it's done. So it's 81150 divided by 10, so that should be the mass. The cost is half of that, but its high technology is extra 50%, so it should be that. I am betting what they've done 5680.5 divided by 2 times 1.5, 4260. Okay, so what the book is doing is it's multiplying the reduced size of the power plant rather than the actual original size of the power plant, and I think that's wrong. I think you're meant to base it on the original, otherwise it gets cheaper if you make it smaller, which doesn't make much sense. So I'm going to leave that as is. Fuel tanks. What do we want? We want 4569. And what I do is, for bits of operation, if I stick some text in there, then what will happen is it will stick the that piece of text in there, so we've got a record of it. Actually, whilst we're there, let's have a look at that text. So I'm going to, so I've got the PDF on a different screen, so you can't see where I'm copying the text from, but we'll do that. It always copies it without that one is a line break. Okay, and I'll put in a type of Galika Megula. Okay, and it's a standard design, so it'll be 10% cheaper. It's just, yep, and it sticks that up there. If you put in something that's all caps, it will take it as a type. So if it's a class, you put it in fixed case like that. If it's a type and a class, you use a slash to differentiate. So like a slash name. Right, it has a bridge. Bridge. Open that up. It will calculate the size. 61,000. We have a computer, which is 10. There's no bis or fib or anything. It does have sensors, basic sensors, and it has distributed arrays. Just that. Now, that's sort of cheating. I mean, that is really cheating. So distributed arrays are free. Okay, because they double, triple the cost and size and power, which is all 0. Right. Let's have a fuel processor. Fuel processors. So we've got 20,000 tons a day. Put that in there. Now, fuel processors are just a general item. There's nothing special. I'm just using these formula here to calculate the size and cost. Fuel scoop. It's not streamlined, so that's probably a cost of 1. Cargo crane. Cargo crane. That's 458. No, that should be 1. So I just set the base tons there. Medical bay. How many medical bays do we have? We have 2. So here's a second medical bay. We have a workshop. Yeah. We have biospheres. How much biosphere? 155. 2 passengers, so 155 tons times 2 is 310. So no, it should be 31 and 155. And you can play along at home, by the way, if you have your high guard open, but it's probably a bit late to mention that now. We want staterooms, we've got a standard and we have a high. So we only have one high, but we have 1580. That's well, according to my copy of High Guard, that should be 632 tons. I think they're missing a zero. Oh, and actually we have 4 High Guard, sorry, not High Guard, high staterooms. We want common areas. We can just add that from there, and we have a cargo hold. We can add that from there. Common area, which the tonnage 328, and cargo hold. That's a big cargo hold, 136,882.5. How does that work out? So we've got minus 5,516 tons remaining. So that will be because they've got the staterooms wrong, and they've got. Okay, so the question is, should there be fewer staterooms? I mean, okay, let's read the text. It's a freighter, so they don't have any stewards, which implies they're not a cargo. So they're not a passenger carrier. So I think, not that one, I think that 632, right, 150, that should be 158. So which remains 172 tons remaining. Okay, where's that 172 tons come from? Let's get back to that. Let's do this computer first. Software. So what have we got? We've got intellect, library, maneuver, jump 2. I'll open that up so it activates it, so it starts the cost. Okay, let's. We just need to give that an edit, so when you save it, it actually refreshes. Cost is higher. It's to be expected. So if I bring in my copy of High Guard and compare, we got 4,000, 10,005, 5680.5, 4569. Ooh, bridge of 60 rather than of 80 there rather than 60. Okay, 1,458, 155. Workshop one night. Sorry, what? What do you mean? You've got one workshop Okay, I chose the freighter because I thought it would be nice and easy as a sort of to demonstrate the process I'm going through here. But it's sort of showing off some of the process because there's an awful lot of this. I mean, about half the time it turns out there's, well, about a third of the time it turns out there's a bug in my calculations, a third of the time I typed in something wrong, and about a third of the time there's bugs in the high guard rules themselves. So we've got 22. Well, the cost is the same. So I'm guessing that is correct. Workshop. So 3 tons per 2 people. 198, 10, 18, 9. So that is divisible by 3. What the hell is 198 divisible by 3? 66. Okay. 198. 29.7. Okay. It's got 22.7. But it costs 0.15 per ton. Number of tons is 198. Got 198 times 0.15, 29.7. They have 22.7, which is wrong. Okay, and we've got, so that's going to make that even. Oh, we're down to, oh, we're down to 20 tons remaining. Okay, what's, because the bridge, there we go, standard bridge, 80 tons. Oh, I know what that is. I know there's a difference in how we calculate. It's possible I'm wrong here. Staterooms, where's bridge? Power plant, fuel, bridge. It's difficult to read it when it's split across monitors. So up to 100,000 tons, it's 60 tons. So 101,000 tons, it's 80 tons. So that should be 80 tons. Because from 101,000 to 200,000, it's going to be 80 tons. 201,000 to 300,000, it's going to be 100 tons. So if it's one size smaller, it halves the cost. I think the cost was correct. Dreadnought, Freighter. Let's have a look at that. Bridge cost 1,000. Cost 1,000. It's not a small bridge because otherwise the cost would be smaller. So that tonnage is correct. So what I'm going to do, I could just leave it, or I could fix that, and then that's 0 tons. There we go, and we'll have a cost that's different, so it's 36 billion. That's 39 billion. Yep, that's different cost because that's that's not six, yeah, that's 6 billion. That's 8 billion. So these costs are in millions, so they're actually somewhat bigger than they look like. So that's fine. I can live with that. I think that's close enough. Now we need to look at crew. Apparently it doesn't have a captain. So I'll give it a pilot. I'll give it an astrogator. I'll give it some engineers. I'll give it 185 engineers. We have 66 mechanics. Mechanic 66. We've actually got enough space to give them all the bonus, really, haven't we? Medics times 2. Yeah, because though you can specify the workshops, they're just items, they're not anything special. It doesn't actually work out who gets the bonuses or anything. What do we want? Let's close that. So ship roles, administrators. So what appears on here is really designed for small craft, and small craft tend not to have administrators. They also tend not to have captains or officers and marines and things like that. So these are all available as separate items you can just drag and drop in. They can have sensor operators though. I'm surprised. I mean, why does a freighter have 8 sensor operators? What are those sensor operators going to do? You have no anti-missile defenses. You only have basic sensors. Okay, I'll give you some officers. Right, so there we go. You have the list of crews. You have the hull, which is described as 100 and... Ooh. So that's power. Max hits. So it assumes that. So I should really read the rules on light hull, shouldn't I? Because it's possible, as I said, sometimes my rules are wrong, or rather my implementation of the rules are wrong. So light hull. reduces cost by 25% and hull point decrease by 10%. Okay, so it should have one hull point for every 1.5 tons of hull. So the hull is 200,000 divided 1.5. Yep, so 133,000 times 0.9 is 120,000. Ooh, note hull. Okay, so I'm doing a caster int on that number, then I'm multiplying it by 0.9. So yeah, that's not quite right. So that should be hopefully easy to fix. But that freighter, strike cruiser, 50,000 tons. Nope. Heavy cruiser. So I'm just looking for my freighter again. Fleet carrier. Freighter, it's saying it's 72,000. How does it get to 72,000? 200, not, divided by 2.5 times 0.9. Yep, it hasn't taken into account the fact that it has 1 point per 1.5 tons, not 1 point per 2.5 tons, because of its size. Cost 5,500, and looking at that, I've got the cost wrong. I think I'm betting spheres halve the cost. Maybe I'm not halving the cost, so I need to check that. So there's a couple of issues I need to look at in my code, but there's also issues in the actual official stats for the ship as well. So, but despite that, we have freighter with stats copied in from HighGuard. I haven't double checked the power requirements. Biospheres, medical bay, yeah, they all match, so that's all okay. And yeah, I'm getting towards the end now of this list, so that's good. Okay, yeah, that is the freighter done. Okay, and a few minutes later, yeah, I fixed that issue there. Max hits is now correct, and it was also wrong here. I've corrected it here, and checking on rules for a sphere. So it actually increases the cost of the hull by 10%. So that's actually correct. Again, HighGuard has 5,500. I'm not sure. Light hull does reduce the cost by 25%. Which that's not doing, but that still wouldn't, that would bring it to about, what, 7,500 or so. Yeah, okay, so that's another bug I need to fix, possibly. I'll double check that. But yeah, the high guard value of 5,500 is wrong there anyway. And finally, another fix later, yep, the cost is now down to 8,250, which I believe is the correct value. So that's minus 25% of the 11 billion, which was the base. So yeah, so yep, that's the freighter done. We can open that up there. We drag that down there. But no, it won't. Something to check though. That's the high guard version of that. Prototype token appearance. Yeah, we've got 10. Width and height are both 9, so that's one huge token, but that's because it's massive. So freighter, when we bring out the freighter, okay, that's, have I got that right? Appearance, randomized wildcard images. Okay, that needs to be an asterisk. Update token. So now when I bring the freighter out, okay, yeah, cool. It will give it a different color each time. Okay, so that's truly the freighter done for now.